Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, you know, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I gonna go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out.
All right, everybody, we are live again, Dynast Amir, Search for Uhuru. And I have two special guests with me this Sunday evening. I have Dr.Mumbi, all the way from Kenya, in the house. And then I have Brother Phil from the Vibe Show. You know, they were so kind just to come to my studio, AKA my home, and sit down 15, 20 minutes and chop it up. Let's get some more people in the chat room. But tonight's topic, what we'll do, we'll also do a, we'll talk about the event, the Building Bridges event that we had tonight. Awesome. That was successful. But tonight's topic is, you know, it's time for Africans to unite globally. We have to put down the petty differences and finally come together as one. Because as I said when I was talking to Dr. Mumbi, it's not tribalism. All right, we are on a race. The world is on a race-based system, not a tribal system. And we have to unite finally so we can move forward. So, Dr. Mumbi, I'll start from you. I'll start with you all the way from Kenya. Thank you so much for joining us. What are your thoughts as far as Africans finally come together and uniting?
I think for the first time, we know each other's story. We have a chance to interact and communicate with one of us. Because I'm sure when you've come to Africa, you've seen that we didn't really know what was going on with African Americans.
And I'm shocked about that.
Yeah, but we were almost in, like, you know, the way China was kind of closed off from the world. That's how Africa almost was closed off from the world. Like, we didn't really know about the slave trade. We didn't even know about the colonialism of our neighbors.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's totally crazy. But now, thanks to this whole communication and information age, the information is spreading really fast. But yes, we need to come together because there's so many forces that are coming against us. You know, I got to interview Claude Anderson in Long Beach, and he was saying global Africa needs to start playing as a team.
Right.
Because, you know, the global politics is a team sport. And the teams are the Asians here, the Jewish there, the Caucasians there. That's how they're playing it. And we're trying to play it like, okay, you guys are African Americans, we're Africans, I'm Kenyan, you're Tanzanian. And that's why we are always losing. And we lose every match, we lose every game because we're not approaching it the way it should be approached. You know, we're trying to play without our defense. We're trying to play without the right wing. We're trying to play without, you know, the midfielders. It can't work.
Heidi, what are your thoughts on that, Phil? That's finally coming together. I know you went to Africa for the first time, Ethiopia. How was the reception from the
oh, man, when I got over there, they've heard me speak, and they was like, oh, welcome home. What part of the U.S. you're from? I told them, I'm from Texas, and down in Houston, and they just got excited. And they just kept saying anything you need, and everybody was just smiling at me. And I mean, that took me for a back. Like, I'm not gonna lie, coming from America, you're not used to people smiling at me too much, especially me. Good size, dark skinned black man. Right. I'm still typical scary to them.
My thing is, if you're black and you're 6 feet and you weigh more than 170 pounds, you're considered a big black man. You're a threat.
Yeah. And everybody come up to me smiling, shaking my hand, and you need anything, and tell your friends to come, and like, I got the soul. I said, I do not want to go back. I mean, because the thing is, when I got off the plane, people have to understand something. It's not even the geographical location, just spiritually. I felt like I've been there before. That will trip me out. I feel like I've been there before, and I feel like at peace, because when you here in this country, you feel attention, you feel oppression, and really this country oppresses everybody. Because the way it works, but it oppresses us 100 times more, right? Right. But when I was over there, I didn't feel no oppression. I didn't feel that tension. I didn't see them old dumb looking looks that these white supremacists look at us for. Right. I mean, everybody was just chilling. And I'm like, I would tell all black people, at least, you could talk about vacation, at least once a year, just go to African nation, use that secretflying.com so you can save some money, right? Do it just to get the process from this oppression and this system that weighs us down. And that's why we have stress, that's why we die early. And, all that pork they feed us and GMO food, there's GMO over there.
Everything's fresh.
Everything is fresh. These people over here in this country just want to kill everybody for a dollar.
Dr. Mumbi, what's the importance of having conversations like this between the diaspora? The event that you had. Because what I noticed when I first really started getting involved in this space, a lot of Black Americans will have these conversations, but Africans won't be involved in the conversation. So it's nice to see now that we have platforms like this that Africans from the continent are actually involved in the conversation. What's the importance of us having dialogues like this?
Okay, even before I get into that, I just want to say both of your channels, like a lot of Africans watch, but because of, colonization was a mental colonization. So sometimes we were taught to keep quiet. You should be seen and not heard. So we rarely will come on there and comment or speak out or partake, but that's changing rapidly. But that's sometimes why you might think, but the importance of having these conversations is we're getting to understand one another. Right. Rapidly in another way. It's like, you guys we were children from the same womb, but you got taken and adopted by someone where you were tortured and you were beaten and we never knew it. And then all of a sudden, and we were also abused in our home. And then now all of a sudden we get to bond with all our brokenness, with all our defensiveness. But when we start these communications, we're able to move beyond that defensiveness and that brokenness and start to understand, okay, so that's how you guys think. That's how we are. That's what you've been through. That's what we're experiencing. So it is so important to have these conversations for global unity, for the global unity of the African people.
What about you, Phil?
What she said about it, Black folks in America have practiced that a long time anyway. Once we be telling everybody our business, we've been going through some horrible tragedies, the Medea movies brought some of that out about molestation in the family and all kinds of things, but it's the same thing. Don't discuss what go on in our house. And basically, like, y'all took that just to another level and didn't, let people know what's going on with you guys. There was always people telling our story, but sometimes it's Hollywood trying to tell it, whatever, or watered down version, like say Roots or different ones that you have seen in the past, but it's always celebrated as a slave narrative where we're not fighting back. We always constantly a servant. And so, things are changing. And the great thing is we don't have to go through the mainstream media to do it. We don't have to ask their permission. It's just a wonderful thing. And Dr. Mumbi keep looking at that comment section last.
Yeah, because I just saw Wonder Maya.
O'Shea's in there. O'Shea's there.
Dr. Mumbi looks Americanized. What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
This food will make you fat. This food is a bit. I'm about to hit that gym when I get back to Africa. Sorry, so that's what I was looking at. They're hating.
O'Shea, you need to get a shirt that says "To the Wall," because that's something you coined. Like, I seen O'Shea time out his whole. Everybody in the comment section. I didn't know you could do that. I never did it.
I can do that.
I don't don't know. That's O'Shea. He timed out everybody in the comment section, and I be laughing. Like sometimes, like me and my wife will be watching O'Shea, whatever, we driving in the car, and he cussing people out. I think it's great. Yeah. O'Shea keep cussing people out. I can't do it on my show, but you can do it on yours. Cuss for me.
Yeah, hey O'Shea, what's up? And hey everyone. No, so that's what I was looking at. They just like hating on the wall. You need to bring Wodemaya to you need to bring Wodemaya to the US, and then you need to meet Wodemaya.
Well, I'm gonna meet him in Ghana.
Oh,
that's
really?
The plan. I'm going to Ghana 2 weeks.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. So now somebody brought up in the chat room just Black YouTubers, Black people in general, creating our own media conglomerate. I know that's something you're doing. We saw what happened to your boy on CNN, Mark Lamont Hill. Right. And people, for some reason, think that these political talking heads on like CNN, BBC, Fox, people believe that they're speaking on in our best interest. What's the importance of us controlling our own media and telling our narrative the way it's supposed to be versus CNN and Fox News filtering it, Phil?
Well, I mean, they have handlers, okay? Right. The CNN issue with Mark Lamont Hill is beautiful to explain that,
right? Because
their CEO, Jeff Zucker, he's a Jewish individual, and anyone that says anything remotely critical of the so-called Jews, then you're getting fired, period. And no one can fire you when you own your own. And the thing is, they fired him for a comment that he didn't even say about Black folk. He was talking about Palestinians.
But you know what's crazy, Phil, not to cut you off? These same Jews or whatever that control CNN, they have no issue controlling the music industry where we're talking about killing each other, selling dope in the communities, shooting each other. No problem.
No, you're right, because they do it. They talking about the murder, destruction, degradation of us. See, that's when we have to come in and say, let's go back to what hip hop originally started, conscious music.
Right. Talking
about this white supremacist system. Let's go back to Public Enemy and the rest of them, how they used to do it back in the day. And they concerts were full and everything. Right. So of course they came in, they had to stop that. I know many people talk about that meeting they had with a lot of music execs when they had the private prisons and say, hey, we got to change the language of this music so we can use this music to funnel young Black men into the private prison system. So because they consume so much music, and so they will pay a young brother from the hood, you know, a couple of racks or whatever to degrade his people. Wow. We struggle in the hood. I understand that, man. But the thing is, we got to think more than that. That same brother, you look at Manny Fresh. I saw him do an interview, and he was talking about he would have made more money selling 10,000 units on his own versus a record label. These people own your name, they own your likeness, everything. They own everything, especially with the 360 deal. I don't even see how anybody signed to a label with 360 deal. Like, don't sign the label. You got your own distribution, like Dame Dash talked about. You got iTunes, Spotify, whatever else. You got Google Play, whatever. You got everything for distribution. YouTube. You can set up your own shows. Why would you go through a record label? That's silly. You can get a producer on your own. You know, they begging for people to take their beats. Like, we got to own our own stuff, not just talk about, definitely on the continent, but even here in America, we have to take back what we provide, because the music industry, $1 billion industry, billions of $1 billion. Black talent is fueling that. Black talent fueling that, and then these same people don't even like you.
What do you think? And you know what? And just to add to
that's heavy.
The same way people in the Black community sell out for trinkets, they do the same thing in Africa. The leadership, they will sell out for trinkets. So absolutely, it's nationwide. Why do you think we globally Black people sell out for trinkets? Like, what do you? Why is that? I mean, just for nothing, just a Mercedes-Benz, a Swiss bank account or whatever, and then once they die, all that goes back to the West.
That's a really good question, and it's kind of complicated because when you're a Pan-Africanist, you almost can't understand why someone would sell us out. It's just so alien to you. But that's what a lot of the African leaders have sold out, and it's that whole thing where, first of all, a lot of our leaders are ignorant. So they're not even very well versed. They're not very well read on the Pan-African struggle. They're not very well read on any of the books or philosophies. They're just thugs in a suit. Can I say that? Wow. Yeah. And so they have this thing where, you're also wanting to look better than, you know, you want to show off to your neighbor, you want to show off to, you know, your family members, you want to have the bigger car and stuff, because you're ignorant of the greater enemy. And then you literally, I mean, a lot of these leaders also, there's something that the enemy has on you.
Right.
You know, you've done something in the past. Either you took some money first, you see what I mean? So you took money for a campaign, or you took money for this, and you have to pay. And when the payback comes, it's critical, you know? And there's also that fear that's been created. And I think, Phil, you were talking about this, how they created yesterday at the Houston building bridges, how they created fear in us by doing these atrocious things. Right. And in Africa, they did that, where they've created fear among the leadership, because what you see is when a leader gets out of line with the agenda of the Commonwealth, or gets out of line with the agenda of the Francophone, they either get taken out, or they get a coup, or there's an opposition leader is raised up and brought against them, and they lose an election. So it's almost like you have to stay in line in order to keep your little trinkets, you know. And and lastly, it's also on us, because I find that sometimes we have not truly been loyal to our true leaders. Right. We've always let them down. So from a leader's perspective, you'd almost be like, why should I stick my neck out?
True.
You know, why should I stick my neck out for these people who will just, you know, when things get really tough, they're going to walk away and leave me to be taken out. So there's that attitude where, you know, divide and conquer, where we're divided against our own, and you almost see the people you're leading as an enemy, or as a people that need to be contained.
What are your thoughts on that, Phil? You want to add to that?
Well, you know, people even here in America, you know, we sell out for a lot of times what we know as Negro trinkets. Okay?
Right. That's what we call them.
And it's not worth anything. And, you know, do you want your legacy to be Negro trinkets? I mean, like I said, I do interviews and laugh and get a kick out of Jesse Lee. Y'all know that. But I would not want to live my life as Jesse Lee Peterson, and my children see me, you know, wearing shirts with monkeys with bananas on it. You know, and then white folks call them a show. Even though I'm cooling it up, calling me the N-word. Right. I just wouldn't want that.
Right.
Like I say, it's better to, you know, be a man or a woman, stand on your own 2 feet, and have some pride in yourself. Like I don't know, money don't impress me like that. I'm glad it don't. I don't care what people say, like, I'll give you $1 million, I'll give you $10 million. I say, okay, well, what that's gonna do? I can only buy so many homes. I'm gonna buy so many clothes. I'm not impressed by putting white people's names on my body for their brands. It doesn't do nothing for me. So, like, you can't really impress me with that. It takes a lot to impress me. So if we would focus more on not only building, let's say, getting along, stop loving white Jesus, stop spending all the white people's holidays because they told you got to spend all your money one day a year, just December. They told you one day a year, you know, stop giving all your money to all these churches, 10% of your income. If black folks will take that same 10% of their income for 1 year and say, let's just save it, or that's all your brothers and sisters that get locked up on BS charges that don't have bail money. Why don't we have a bail system for them? Yeah. But they ain't got to go to no bail bonds when they take all these 10%. We can do so much. We could, like you said, we could take over the beauty business. We could take over music. We can take over everything, but it takes capital. Right. So we spending money on everything else. We just hold back a little bit. Let Creflo Dollar get him you know, another Rolls Royce another year, you know, just hold your 10% just for 1 year. Yeah. And invest it into yourself and into your people.
Right. 2 more questions. I know you guys have a tight schedule. 2 more questions.
Yeah.
People keep bringing up religion. As far as uniting as a people, what should we do? Because I mean, I go to Ghana, there's pictures of white Jesus everywhere.
Yeah, right, in people's houses and everything.
Everywhere. And I'm just like, how can someone take a people serious, a black people serious, when you got pictures of white Jesus all over the place? You know, in Nigeria, northern Nigeria, you have black people who want to be Arab so bad that they're killing other black people in the name of just wanting to be an Arab, a black Arab. What do we have to do, or what needs to be done as far as religion in regards to finally uniting? Because I think religion plays so much of a role in us being divided. Yeah,
it does. And, you know, okay, I'm speaking as as someone who comes from, Agikoyo, we had a monolithic, the Most High Creator, and I have seen the Most High Creator, the supreme being, the supreme one. I've seen him work in my life. I believe he's using me mightily in such a season as this. So one thing I always feel, because I get a lot of that, like I just posted a thing about how we're reuniting and we got to come together, and people are like, but why do you quote the Bible? But I feel that, the scriptures and the story of the Most High and all this, the creation story is our story. The story in the scriptures they are our stories that were put together, whitewashed, and then fed back to us. Jesus is black, but a lot of people in Africa don't know that, and they'd almost think you're blasphemy.
They're like,
when you say that, they're like,
but this is the thing.
Don't say anything.
This is the thing, Dr. Mumbi. Like, they will tell you about the African origins of Jesus, but they will not get rid of the white pictures of Jesus and replace them with like at least a light-skinned Jesus. I mean, just a light-skinned Jesus. They will not get rid of those white pictures, but will talk to you blue in the face about the African origins of Jesus. It's just,
and I mean, for me, I really feel that the thing that we need to do is we need to elevate ourselves, and that means a spiritual, physical, mental elevation. So I really feel that the unity of our people will come through a spiritual, because we have to be more mindful. We have to have more mindfulness in the way we operate. We have to become, because everything is seated in the spiritual and manifests in the physical. So, but we can't be religious minded, and that religious stronghold is deep. And I think that's one of the strongholds that is holding our people in such bondage, and also creating a lot of division right now, because you have the Hebrew Israelites, you have, the Christians, you have the Muslims, and like a lot of people have got feelings that I interviewed, Riza Islam of the Nation of Islam. And so there's a lot of this just fighting, but you need to have a spiritual life. You need to have a spiritual antenna to the Most High for yourself, and start washing yourself. And really the only way you can wash your mind is through that spiritual connection that kind of, leads you. And I'm sure there's been a lot of mystical things that have happened as you've traveled through Africa,
absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's a spiritual guiding. So we can't, almost we want to, like, people almost want to cut themselves off from that spiritual. And that's not the solution, but that is one of our greatest strongholds. We need to put religion away. We need to just cut it off.
What about you?
Well, I do agree with that. And you talk about Ghana, right?
Right.
Now, how I approach them is just to start from the scriptures, and show them how Jesus wasn't white. And if they don't accept it, they just don't accept it. But I know religion can be an issue, but in the sake of global unity, people believe different things, right? That are black. We are not a monolith.
Right.
So in order to unify, I don't really care what you believe. If it makes you a good moral person to believe what you believe, go ahead, brother. But at the end of the day, we got to think past that and say, hey, look, really put that aside just for a minute. I'm not telling you not to believe and not worship, but we're going to have to unify, because when these white supremacist terrorists come after us, they don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Hebrew Israelite, 5%. They don't care about any of that mess. You're Moor or whatever. They don't care. So we shouldn't care. And I'm not about to fight with you because you're a different thought process than me in the area of your beliefs. That's fine. But can we at least join together? Hey, do we agree we both black? Do we agree that we deal with the same issues? Right. Okay, let's join there. Because one thing that's causing us not to unify is you want people to think like you completely. Nobody can think like you and me completely.
We have that thing.
I can't work with you. You don't think like me. It's not the way it works. Listen, your children won't think like you. You got a child, Dynast, they don't think exactly like you. No. But do you cash a child away just because they don't think like you? No. Okay, well, it's the same thing. We can't cash each other away for that reason. If we're willing to work with each other, do your thing, but we'll just sort out the other mess later. Let's just end racism, white supremacy on our people.
And can I just say that Dr. Claude Anderson, actually, I saw it in one of the comments, he actually said that. He said religion is a horizontal issue, and that's why we keep losing at this global game, because we need to be dealing with vertical issues. Right. The vertical issues is a global unity of the African people, building a global financial base, building a global voice. Those are the vertical issues, but we're still hung up on these horizontal issues which do nothing for our people, and they keep us here when we need to be going this way.
Right. Last question. I'll start with you, Phil. Black people, our experience here in America has been very unique. 400 years of slavery. We're actually coming on the 400th year anniversary. we're connecting back to Africa. Should Black Americans have their own nation, or should they, I would say, integrate into Africa? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, not all of them here is going to do that. They have to accept that. When the things do go down, I just call it like it is. Some of them are so tied to the hip with Massa that they will go down with Massa. I believe a third of them will. It's just bottom line. So, because they love him too much. Now, those that want to should do that and welcome them in and let them get acclimated. Let's get some residency. Let's get some citizenship. Right. That's one thing the governments in Africa can start doing. Right. That takes it the next step further than just saying, "Oh, we welcome you." Okay, cool. Well, put it down on administrative paperwork and say we citizens now, or at least permanent residents, so we can get a visa and stay as long as we want. Right. Right. Yeah. So we got to take those justices, because I'm way past arguing with Black folk in America about Africa. I'm like, brother, you want to stay here with the white man foot on your neck? Do that. God bless you. Move out the way and let me talk to other people. We got to kind of do that. That's kind of like that shake the dust off your feet and keep moving attitude. So if we do more of that and stop arguing with folks that don't want it anyway, don't waste our time.
Dr. Mumbi, should Black Americans, should they have their own, or have the opportunity to build their own nation state in Africa? There's a group called the Black African Infrastructure Organization that I'm part of. Or should we integrate into a specific African country or African society? Like, what are your thoughts on that? What would be the best?
I think that integration. For sure. Okay. Integration is the way to go. But what I'm seeing is that because you are like a tribe, the African Americans are like a tribe. I've seen, like, in Ghana, there's a community. Right. But it's a community within a community. So the isolation is never a good thing wherever you are. So so even in Kenya, there's over 500 African Americans living, working, and they've integrated, but they have their communities. They come together on holidays and stuff. So I think integration is the way to go, because you don't want to become the new colonizer, and that could happen if you create a nation and then people are separate, and then the Africans on the continent come and work for you. It could create tension. So I just think that we've been separated for so long that we shouldn't want anything to separate us now. We should find a way to blend, to come together. But also, you can have your communities, but a separate nation, I think that's just a recipe for disaster. I think so. Yeah. Because everywhere is taken in Africa. There's people everywhere. Okay. They try and say there's people everywhere, and there's nations that are spread out. Now, what I feel is people should return to their nations, and these borders need to be broken down. Right. And then the African community could be a nation among the African nations. Okay. But it's more like we have to find a way to coexist, to share the way we used to share. Yeah.
So why do we want to separate? Let's say you go over there. Why do you want to separate? You don't want to stay here. You want to separate. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. I mean, what's the point of going to Africa? Okay, we separate ourselves as African Americans, but a different tribe. We know in the continent, tribalism don't work for them either. Right, true. Right? True. Yeah, so I say, like, you talk about get rid of religion, get rid of tribalism, because that's still tribalism. Right. If we say go over there, create our own little nation and do it. No. We need to just all get along. Right. We need to all eat together, laugh together, cry together. That's it. Okay. That's how I feel about it. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. All right, so Phil, how can everybody? I mean, you got 900,000 subscribers, so I'm pretty sure I know everybody knows where to find you. But how can people find you if they don't know who you are? Well, I mean, we are a struggle channel like everybody else, and we trying to earn the likes of the people. Our struggle channel. So you can find us on the Advice Show TV on YouTube. It's not hard to find. We're doing news, social commentary. Dr. Mumbi has, done content there. Dynast has, been on our show a few times. Well, we did an interview with him again, so you'll see him again. And everything. And he allowed us to come in his house. Yeah. And as you guys can see, the white curtains back here. Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to shift to that room right there, and I'm about to get art. So next time, when I start streaming, it's going to be art in the background. And all that good stuff. So yeah. So we moving on up like the Jefferson. You moving on up? Yeah. So it's going to be no more white curtain. Here soon. By the time I come back from Africa, no more white curtains. But this is the famous white curtain.
He would say, "What's behind that white curtain?"
Somebody's house.
Well, there y'all go. See, I got this behind the white curtain.
And Dr. Mumbi, where can people find you?
Check me out on the Dr.Mumbi show. We do content basically on Africa, talking about Africa and, global African news from an African perspective. So yeah, Dr.Mumbi show on YouTube.
Everyone, this has been dynamic.
Yeah.
I appreciate Phil and Dr. Mumbi for taking time out of their journey and their trip just to come to my house and do a live stream. So everyone, if you're new to this platform, please like, share, subscribe. Make sure you go to Search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Until next time, family, peace.
Peace. Okay, awesome.
That was great.